Today on this episode of the Merchant Service Sales Podcast, we have the owner of Selflane, Kevin Zhao. I've known him for quite a long time. He's a great guy. Um, Excited to have you on here, Kevin.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Happy to be on with you guys.
So, Kevin, we always start this out a little about the same way, but what we really want to know is how did you get into the industry?
That's a great question. So I got in completely by chance. So back in 2013, I was living in El Paso. I had just moved to El Paso for Shamrock Foods. Shamrock Foods, you may not know who they are, but they are a food supplier like your Cisco and, US Foods. Those are some of the bigger players in the industry. Shamrock Foods is a little bit smaller, but they are in 5 different states. So I was a food rep selling groceries to restaurant owners in El Paso. And one day I was taking orders with the chef and a guy came in to sell merchant services. So right away, a light bulb went off in my head and I'm thinking to myself, wow, I know 60 restaurant owners and I know, this is something that I can learn and possibly, increase my income by having merchant service under my belt as well. So that night I, looked in on Google and found several different companies that are, looking for agents. And I remember signing up that night with a North American bank card and started. Yeah, yep. So that's how you and I met at a North American bank card conference a few years ago. So I signed up right away. I got set up with a national recruiter and started selling merchant services, there. And long story short, from there, I, learned, self-educated on the whole industry, learned the in and outs. Eventually,
before you go into that, was that a hard part when you first got in? Was self-educating yourself?
it was very hard. It was a whole new industry. There are so much information out there on the web, and I was in my mid-20s at the time, and everything was new to me, so I didn't really know much going on, and I just relied on the national recruiter. I would just get the statement and send it to them, and I would rely on the statement analysis team to come back with some numbers, and that's how I was able to close deals. I just relied on my relationships with the business owners and relied on, the statement analysis team. It took me a while to really understand the industry. I would say at least, 3 to 6 months where I was completely comfortable in understanding, interchange and basis points and, all the things involved.
I feel like 3 to 6 months is actually a very short period of time for some people that get in this industry. What do you think, Austin?
I definitely agree. So I kind of got a question for you and talk about the way you were doing it. So were you going into merchant locations, acquiring statements, sending them back in NAB, letting them break them down, put together a proposal for you? I'm assuming they were emailed back to you, and then just setting up another appointment with the merchant and going in and going over the proposal. And then to build on top of that as well, how did you learn to break the proposal down for the merchant, and how'd that process look?
That's a great question. Yeah, it was exactly like you described. I would get the statement first. That was my number one goal, is to get the statement, so that way I have something to work off of. And from there, I would send it to the national, statement analysis team. And from there, when they come back with these numbers and spreadsheets, it was pretty clear and straightforward. It'll say, okay, this is what we've identified, how much saving per month, per year. And those numbers sometimes were pretty big. I don't know, nowadays it's very competitive, but when I first started 7 years ago, it didn't seem to be as, competitive as it is today. So the savings were pretty significant to where I can, go in and say, hey, here's $300 a month in savings, which equates to $3,600 a year.
Yep.
And that was an easy close, but as I learned and as time passed, it just seems like, there's more and more technology coming out, more and more players in the industry.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, to where I'm today, I kind of taken that role upon myself to create the software as to what the market is needing and what the merchant is needing, so I can service them better and have better retention and customer
I don't
service.
know.
Oh,
I don't
sorry.
know anything about the software, and I definitely am going to take the opportunity to hopefully demo it and play with it. I love point of sale systems. At what point in merchant services, I mean, did you walk into a business and see like just a crappy point of sale, or did you just listen and acquire data from merchants' pain points on point of sales? What was the driving force behind becoming a solution-based provider over a price-based competitor?
Right. That's a great question. Again, I think what really made me do this is because I feel like as a sales rep on the streets, try to compete for merchant accounts, you have to have a good, solution repertoire to get in, right? And a lot of times, I love talking to restaurants because I grew up in the food industry. So I always was just tend to call on restaurants, and they always had a question. So do you have a POS system? And in the beginning, it was always like, I do, but I don't really understand this. So let me set you up with our POS guy, and he'll get in touch with you, and I just hand it off. And oftentimes the merchant will come back and say, "Man, I'm having such a hard time learning the system, or it's not what it appears to be," and just having a very tough time. So eventually, I went to become a reseller for a point of sale company in Albuquerque, based out of Albuquerque, called Lavu. I'm sure you guys heard of Lavu. They were
I've heard of Zhou.
oh yeah, they were the first iPad-based point of sales to hit the App Store, and they had really good success with Gordon Ramsay backing them up, and they grew very quickly. But I kind of came on pretty late. This was in late 2016. No, yeah, late 2016 is when I became a reseller with Lavu. I went to their headquarters. I paid the reseller training fee. I think it was $1,000. I spent 3 days with their trainer, and a little bit of time with their customer service. Learned the whole system, and I did 2 deals, and they were in my backyard. After these 2 deals, I just felt that, and those guys, they can't really back up what they said they can do, and those merchants were receiving poor customer service, and the
I don't
customer
want to
always.
ruffle any feathers here, but like I said, I really like point of sale systems. I can count on one hand how many point of sale systems I've encountered that can actually do what they're marketed or what they're marketing they say they can do. I think a lot of them can do what they say they can do, just not efficiently or effectively or in a timely manner. So
now, do you think that's a disconnect with the sales of the POS or the recruiter of the POS and the developers, or do you think? Because I don't think the developers are going out there, oh, we could do this 100% without being.
I think it's a matter of we have X amount of dollars, and we have this many people that can help us build this, and we have all these people that can sell it, and how many of these can we sell before it's finished to help increase this amount of dollars, so hopefully we can fix these known problems that we already know that are there. But the biggest problem is, I guess we don't really got to name any names, but there's a large point of sale company right now for restaurants that's struggling, that was climbing the ladder super fast, if not probably the top cloud-based point of sale. And then when the COVID stuff happened, the stuff kind of hit the fan. I don't know where they're at right now. I haven't heard an update on what's going on, but
You talking about Toast?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Toast? Yeah,
I'm talking about Toast. It's all about the dollar. I think the intentions are always good, but unless you got a guy that's going to sit down and understand customer needs, understand the business, understand the industry, understand merchant services and pain points, and build software solely around providing a real solution that's easy to use and not have to worry about keeping investors happy or funding rounds or, board members, all that stuff. Like, I don't think you're going to have a successful product. Toast can't do anything to their point of sale, to their software updates without it going in front of a group of people that say yay or nay. And if they do something and the group of people doesn't like it, there's repercussions for those actions. So I think that that's where the disconnect is at. I think that a lot of software companies, it's not how can we help the merchant? It's, how quick can we make money? How quick we make our investors happy again so we can get more money. And, that's where I think a lot of failure happens is they're not making enough money quick enough to make investors happy, or they're not making enough money for the investors to be happy. And, therefore the things that need fixed in the POS software just kind of get pushed aside until that money comes. I think money is definitely the reason we're all in it, but I watched
That's for sure.
tons of software companies fail because of that very thing.
I think you really hit the nail on the head, really. And that's why, we, since the beginning, we took a different route and different approach. We weren't, in it to attract investors to get that money up front and then develop our software. We kind of did it backwards. Myself, before I started Selflane, I was a W2 employee for Heartland Payment Systems. I worked really hard, and I really believed in Heartland's vision and integrity. Their promise to sales agents with the 100% vested after you get out of the woods.
Whoa. So you went from NAB to Heartland?
I did.
Did you understand how much?
Can you insert like that facepalm emoji right there?
Yeah.
Hey, but that's before Global actually took over Heartland, right? I was there in the good days.
Yeah, but you're getting 15% residual, right?
Correct.
So you went from 50% to 15, is that correct?
I did, but the upfront bonus was much bigger. They pay you 50% margin upfront for the whole year. So
is that the driving factor for you to go to Heartland, was the upfront money?
Yes, absolutely. Because at that time, my situation was a little bit different. I needed money to survive, so that was really the best model I could found.
And I totally understand that. You know what?
Yeah.
To each their own, everybody. But now, if you had it to do over again, you were building a portfolio with NAB. Would you have still made that decision, knowing everything you know now, that hey, I'm going to go over to Heartland, and spend my time over there, and did you get vested over there?
Yeah, I got vested after 8 months. I was pretty good
at
what I did.
Mm-hmm. Like that to me is just crazy. Like, I know me and Austin don't agree on vesting, but to spend 8 months somewhere to make sure you're getting paid for all the work you've done, that just hurts my heart for agents.
I hit on this every time it's brought up, and I'll only take a couple seconds.
I'm not done. But I mean, how many times are Heartland agents out there knocking doors every day, where I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that have been doing it in it for 6 months, got 10 or 12 clients, and just get nothing, and then sometimes have to pay back some of that bonus that they got.
Yeah. Kevin, I want to ask you a question. If you would have never worked for Heartland, is there anything that you learned at Heartland that you're utilizing in your business model today that you wouldn't have had without your experience at Heartland?
Yeah, I've definitely learned a lot from, Heartland's training. They had a pretty robust training for us. And, it was very inspiring to meet some of the people that worked at Heartland. And they really was advocating for merchants. And, so that was very refreshing to see at the time in the merchant service industry, because I've researched a lot of different companies to represent with. I found Merchant Warehouse at the time, which is Capital One, Bankcard. Now it's Cayenne. I found another company. There were so many of them,
Yeah.
But I wanted to be with the best ones that I know that my merchant, first of all, is getting taken care of.
Yeah.
And I I've always saw myself as very high integrity and honest. And Harlan at that time really stood out. So that's why I went to work for them.
So,
And
did you learn more at your time in Heartland than you did with NAB? I don't know. I don't know what the timeline was with NAB, but were you just
absolutely.
taken to another level, or did you actually learn the business with Heartland?
I think I was already pretty sufficient in the business as far as knowing what's going on. I knew it was going to be a big pay cut, but I felt safer because I knew I was a top performer, and I knew with Harlan's pay plan I could make six figures within my first year, and that's what I did.
Good.
So yeah, I made six figures, and I actually went on to three different trips. I won three trips for the 3 years I was there because of my performance. But looking back, knowing what I know now, I would have made a lot more money based on my performance and residual. So I know that, and I'm glad it was just 3 years that I gave to
That is a
them.
long time.
Yeah, yeah. But I learned a lot, honestly.
All right, let's get back to what we're doing though. What made you decide? What was the defining moment where you said, "Okay, it's time to create our own solution"? How did that come about?
That's because I was getting so frustrated finding the right solution to sell, or having the right solution and the right support to make sure that my merchants are not left hanging. And like you said, Austin, we got to focus on the customer's needs, right? You got to focus on what this restaurant truly need to be more efficient, to run their business better so they can make more profit, to make their servers happier, during rush hour, to split checks easier, all these things. And when I bring it up to all these point of sale companies, they don't usually listen, or they do listen, but just not able to, improve based on the feedbacks that I'm getting. And I knew if I want to do this, I got to do it myself.
Yes.
So
Do you find like a lot of other POSs are developing parts of the POS that really restaurant owners aren't using?
absolutely. I mean, when I log into the back office for Lavu, it was very hard to understand. Like
Yeah,
restaurants,
the
they
customer
only
journey
use
was just kind of scattered all over the place.
all over the place, right? And for someone to be able to be comfortable on the system, it's very difficult. Even for me, that I'm pretty computer savvy, but talking about a mom and pop operation, first second generation, they're usually in their 50s or 60s. They're going to have a very hard time, and so I knew really the only way for me to be in this business long term is to create my own solution. And honestly, I didn't know how I was going to do it. I don't know how to write codes, or I don't know how to develop a software, or even close to creating what we have now. But
Well, you're on that point about the small mom and pop shop type businesses. Do mom and pop shop business restaurants care anything about if their line cook is using 2.5 ounces of cheese instead of 2 ounces of cheese?
probably not. They don't care.
Okay.
I mean, they don't care. A lot of them don't even care about having a point of sale system, but the ones that did, they needed the help the most.
Yeah.
And that was our target clientele, and a lot of them already had a point of sale system, but I just see them get neglected and manipulated. They're paying for a system that they're not really getting a lot of value.
$149 for customer service, $99 per lane.
Per station.
Processing rates, 3.5%, 4%, 15 cents a transaction.
Right.
Yep. 5-6 year leases that are $300 and $400 per unit.
Yeah, it's very common.
Yep.
And those are the things that really ignited the fire inside of me to say, hey, I got to get out there and I got to help these people, because I grew up in a restaurant too. So my mom and my dad, we have a Chinese restaurant, and I grew up in it. So, that's why I just have so much love for small and medium-sized restaurants and businesses, because I saw how much time they had to put in and how much work they had to put in. and for a
I know
company to come
nothing.
in.
I haven't had an opportunity to run through your system real quick, but out of curiosity, while you were building this out, um, key points for I'm assuming your target restaurants probably 100, 150K or less a month, correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, we can do pretty much anybody. Right now on Selflane, we have restaurants doing anywhere from, $5,000 a month to 300. So we cover a wide range, and we have in our portfolio now we have breweries, quick service, full service.
So simple order taking, simple check management, firing to kitchen printers or screens,
Yep.
tableside payments, online ordering, maybe curbside management and delivery management. Are those the key points of a point of sale system right now for a small business owner?
Very much so. Not every business may use what you just mentioned, but they're going to use one or two of those components within our system at least. Especially right now with the new reality, online ordering and contactless payments are huge.
Yeah.
So we saw a 1,100% increase on our online ordering volume, before COVID hit. So it's been pretty crazy to see that. And we just launched a QR code ordering with reservations and waitlist. So we know that that's gonna be another hot item that's gonna be pretty needed with this new reality going forward. I don't know, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, restaurants can now open at 50% capacity. So there will be people waiting in line. So that's why we created the reservation and waitlist feature. And that's the beauty of having my own team, is that we can be very nimble and flexible. Like if we see a need for the industry, we can just build it. Since we launched, we've gone through 148 updates. So pretty much we update our system once a week to accommodate whatever requests we get thrown at us, as long as it makes sense.
Do you have like a lot of updates where something breaks and then you got to get in real quick and fix it, or you guys pretty much have a QA tester on there testing everything?
We test everything. We learned a pretty big lesson about 8 months into it, and basically what happened is we rolled out this update. It wasn't like a crash or anything, but it was mixing tickets among servers. So that was a big lesson there. And ever since that, we made sure to test our product rigorously until we know it's sound and solid before we released it to all of our users. So since then, we haven't had any issues as far as that goes. My business partner, my co-founder, he's very good at coding. He's a scientist. A little bit of background on him is he went to work for Los Alamos National Labs in New Mexico, and he was a lead engineer for particle physics. And he got really tired of just devoting his life to building one thing, right? Because the projects they work on, it may take him 5 to 10 years, but it doesn't affect too many lives. Our regular people. It may affect the government in some ways.
He wanted more purpose, or he wanted to be a part of something that he. Let me ask you this, and I don't mean to interrupt you. I see where you're going with that. As far as a sales standpoint goes for your software, if a merchant gave you 60 seconds to explain why they should drop their current point of sale system, or why you would drop their current point of sale system and replace it with yours, what would that be? What would that 60 seconds look like?
Well, I would tell them that we're in this to make our community better. So we're building infrastructures that are truly are connecting consumers to restaurants, and we truly care for their success, because if they don't succeed, we don't succeed. So right there is a very strong message, because we truly care. We want this merchant to to do good, and with whatever we're building, it's going to take them to next level, whether it's online ordering or reservations or making their in-store operation run smoother. So we just tell them that we may not be perfect, but we're always here to listen, and we're always here to listen and to improve. So that's
What
kind
is
of
your
our approach.
what's your reseller agreements? Are you guys taking resellers?
We are. We don't have any resellers yet. We have some referral partners through a few different, credit card processing companies, such as Clarin out of Colorado, I want to say.
Yeah, Clarence pretty big.
Yeah. So they're
You're either main like QSR or like a restaurant POS that they're referring to.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So we love to bring on more resellers and have them, share our product with their markets. And so we're getting there. About a year ago, I put a resellers package together. But our point of sale, we don't charge a whole lot. We charge $29.99 per location, and it's not per station. It's $29.99 per location. If you get onto the bottom of our website, go to documentation, and click on pricing, you'll see all of our pricing. So we're very transparent. When I try to hide behind, terms and conditions, and everything we do, we have it on our website. So we don't charge a whole lot. And I think a lot of times, the old school resellers, their incentive is to make a lot of money up front. So you have your Micros and Alohas and Adelos, these guys, when they do a deal, it's like tens of thousands of dollars, but they make 50% or 60% of that to themselves, right? Where with us, I can't go in and convince that guy to, start selling Selflane, because one, we're iPad based. Anybody can go buy an iPad. There's no margin in that, right? You can't just mark up an iPad and say, hey. And two, we can't really afford to, I'll give 50% profit sharing based on, the $29.99, but that's $15. It's not very attractive to those guys. But the one thing that's attractive for some of the resellers that do get it is that now you have this awesome tool in your toolbox to go to market to compete with the Toast, the Clovers, and all these other systems. So we're still getting there, really. Claren's been sending us quite a few businesses. Next week, I'm going to be in. We're going to start in Tracy, California. We have a merchant coming on. We just had a merchant come on in New Jersey, a small restaurant in New Jersey. She's already live. She hasn't turned on online ordering yet. We have restaurants in Chicago.
Are
We have
you
restaurants in El
personally
Paso.
installing it, or are they installing it?
They're doing self-installation. I do give them some help if they need it, but it's pretty straightforward, you guys pretty much are experts at that. So, the iPad is Wi-Fi, the PAX S300 and the printers just need to be on the same network, and it's just, Ethernet connections.
Time out. PAX S300 Wi-Fi network communicating. How's that worked out for you so far?
The PAX is actually not Wi-Fi. The iPad is Wi-Fi. PAX is actually Ethernet cable.
You're hardwired into the same network that the Wi-Fi is connected to on the iPad.
Yes.
No connection issues as far as dropping and having to repair.
Yeah. No, very smooth. I think PAX has really got that part figured out pretty good, and they just released PAX.us for easy, programming in the back. So we typically like to program our PAX machines. A lot of processors want to do it themselves, and we let them. Not a problem to us, but the problem is they don't always do it right. So you end up wasting 2-3 hours on the phone, try to, get them to, do it right. So, but for the most part, it's been pretty smooth. We have close to 130 merchants altogether, but half of them, about 70 of them, are using our point of sale. And it's still just me and my business partner. We're a two-man team. And we don't really have any, issues. We don't spend a lot of time on servicing customers. We have pretty robust documentation for troubleshooting on our website and also on our point of sale app. We spend a lot of time there, and I'm also putting together some new videos on how to install the system by yourself.
One thing if I could give you some advice, I don't know if you take it
Sure. Uh,
but if you
Feedbacks
look at
is the best. Yes.
the way other companies that are SaaS companies are scaling, and taking out that customer service part of it is build the community for your merchants, right? Where they can go
Yes.
on. Like Square has the seller community, and 99% of people are on there just trying to answer other people's questions just to look smart. I
Yeah.
don't understand it, but it's building the community is awesome. A lot of
Absolutely.
a lot of these POS people, like a Toast or whatever, they're so scared to build the community because they don't want people stealing their merchants. But if you have a great product, there's no reason why somebody's going to want to change it, right? People really
Yeah.
don't always leave just because of price. It's more like, hey, I'm leaving because I'm unhappy about this, or I think I could get something
Right.
better about this. It's not always price. People think it's price, but it's more so, you know, it's not that big of a deal, so maybe I will go get a thing. But if I'm happy with something that's installed, it's sometimes hard to move those agents or those merchants because you're not, it's the fear of the unknown, right? Why am I going to switch if I'm not having as good an experience as I am with Selflane or
Right.
whatever.
No, I completely agree with you. And we've talked about having a community, not just for restaurant owners, but also for consumers to share pictures, on their food and just try to find whatever way we can impact, our community and restaurants that are on Selflane to, earn more business, generate more sales, and have a better, system overall.
One of the
Uh,
greatest things that I've seen as a local POS provider here where I live, that all the restaurants that they have that use their POS is have a built-in loyalty program that's transferable amongst the community of restaurants. That's branded by the city, like with incorporating the city, and all those restaurants have begun to work together and promote each other. And you earn 100 points over here, you can use those 100 points over there, and vice versa. Um, the To me, I watch consumers, including myself, and I watch these businesses that have been able to network together and host events or push events or do marketing that they would have never been able to do by themselves, and how just that one loyalty program that's connected them all together has made that available to them, and it has helped them with. And I watch these restaurants slayed during COVID. I mean, they did a fantastic job. They've been able to brand. They've been able to brand the loyalty program. That's something else that I would like to see more SaaS companies do, is create local community-based rewards programs, loyalty programs, networks of restaurants where they can all work together. I've seen its success. I think some people are leery about it, but I think it definitely works. It all touches on that community thing. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree. As long as the restaurant can get over the mentality of, oh, I'm losing, my customer to you, and vice versa. But I think,
At the end
customer
of the
always
day,
have to.
consumers are going to eat at different places.
I was gonna say, at the end of the day, consumer always are, they always have the right to choose whoever they want to go to. So I don't think that worry is really valid. At the end of the day, if you pour your heart and soul out and create this awesome product and food, they're gonna come no matter what. And it's good to inspire other restaurant owners to do the same.
Right.
And that's how we really build a community. And everybody that works hard should get a fair share of their hard work. So
One of the big breweries actually took this community on, and each location now has its own craft beer. I mean, it's been a great thing. I think it's awesome. I don't know.
All right, we're running quick out of time, so I got a couple more questions.
okay.
Kevin, tell us about the unicorn merchant that got away from you. Big deal that you lost.
Oh, that was so the biggest deal I lost is a 7-location deal that we spent a lot of time on. It's Taco Cabana. They're on Selflane for online ordering, but we had a good shot at their point of sale system and merchant service. The reason why we didn't get it is because the owner is super old school. He didn't think that iPads were robust enough to handle their 24/7 operation. He had a fear that those iPads are just gonna blow up.
But did you
And
know the iPads are more powerful than the probably POS they have now?
I did. I mean, it was we lost it to Brink, PAR, PAR,
Oh,
huge
yeah,
company,
yeah.
right? So I don't know. I think they're embedded
I have
with
a couple of those
NCR.
paperweights here just sitting,
Yeah, yeah. So that it was pretty close, and it was a pretty good fight that we put up. We basically they were looking at us. They were looking at Lavu. They were looking at one other PC-based system. I believe it was Revention, and then they had their current system, which they've had for 20 years, which is Brink PAR. And I guess the vice president for that office, RDS in Texas, he flew down
That is so
to
sad.
save the deal. And he flew down to met with the owner and say, hey, we're going to give you this smoking deal. We'll knock off, 30% and blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And we lost it,
There
but
must
it
be
was pretty close. Oh, yeah, it hurt.
President is coming.
I was literally playing with an RDS deal this morning, and the markup is so insane. I've got one last question for you. One of my, I don't know, I'll say requirements. One of the things I like to see with SaaS companies is having proprietary hardware.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a firm believer that hardware or software that's built to work with the hardware that's running it is always going to be the most efficient. I've been anti-iPad based SaaS programs ever since ShopKeep, and I don't know that my mind will be changed with that anytime soon. I'm super excited to demo yours, but why did you go the route of iPad based instead of proprietary hardware?
Well, that's a great question too. We've looked into getting a proprietary system in the beginning, but we just didn't have the resources to do it. We didn't have a lot of money to start out with. We're still bootstrapping, and most of these manufacturers out of Asia, they require you to place a big order to begin with, and we didn't really know if the quality is there. But we know iPads are pretty robust compared to some of these tablets out there. And as far as from a developer standpoint, iOS apps are really have high standards. That Apple have to approve it. They don't mess around, basically. So we knew that we can get going quickly, and that's what we wanted to do in the beginning because we want to get our foot in the door as quickly as possible.
You don't think that is going to hurt branding in the long term? Because you walk into a location with a Clover and you see the Clover sitting there,
Yep.
You know what it is just by looking at it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's part of the reason they've been able to scale the way they have. I can't tell you how many times that I've walked into a merchant location, show them, a Clover, or they have a Clover. They're like, oh, they can name off 10 people that they know that has one. And I think that's part of the branding game. So is that a game plan in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely on our roadmaps. We're open to any great ideas or anything that we see that could help us grow. Obviously we want to scale. We want Selflane in every city, every city, every state, and we're going to work hard to get there. We are looking into rolling out some Android tablets pretty soon. We looked at PAX A920 to have one single unit handheld POS. Really serves food trucks, tableside. So we're not set on iOS, that's for sure. And we're open.
I'm glad you picked iOS. I mean, I
Yeah.
love iOS. So, but that was just my question and thoughts on the proprietary hardware.
But on the hardware, I'm glad you brought it up. We keep it simple, right? So we only work with PAX and Epson printers only.
Okay.
And everything else, we use Heckler for enclosures and iPad. And that's it. We try to keep it light and keep it, easy for troubleshooting across the board.
We're running out of time. I got to get this last two questions in. Where do you see the industry in 5 years, and what's your advice to somebody starting out?
Okay. I think the industry in 5 years is going to be A lot more contactless payments, a lot more e-commerce mobile payments. And I honestly can't really tell you because, look how much things have changed just in the last few months.
Yeah.
For someone that's starting out, completely green, just be a sponge, be open-minded. Learn as much as you can on your own, and find a channel like what you guys are doing, a podcast to learn from experts like yourself, and always be upfront and honest with your merchants, because at the end of the day, whatever you say and you tell them, it always come back to you. And if you want to be successful for long term in our industry, you got to think long term. It's the relationships and partnerships that we're building that's going to take us far. It's not I'm going to make.
We're going
I'm going to
through
make
some of that, right? We're watching people earn their reputation really quickly in some of these groups.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
gotta be honest.
You and I have actually spoke before, haven't we?
You and I? You mean you and me?
Yeah.
I don't know. Possibly.
I think that we have. While I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, I know I've talked to this guy before. I'm gonna go back through my emails and messages and look, but I think that we've spoke before.
Okay.
Can we wrap it up, John?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Kevin, for coming on. You want to shout out your POS one more time so everybody knows?
Yeah. Hey, thank you guys so much for having me today. It was great. Again, my company is called Selflane, Selflane. I always tell people it's you're on fast lane, but you're by yourself. So Selflane. And just go to selflane.com, go to the bottom of our page, the documentation. You can learn everything about what we do on that link, our documentation.
So Selflane POS, I'm definitely gonna hop on there. Hopefully you and I can get together, set me up a demo account. I want to play, I want to explore. I will definitely put it through some
Let's do it.
phases. So John, do you have anything you want to finish up with?
Nope. Thanks, guys. That's a wrap.
Yeah. You guys have a good
All right,
week.
guys.
Bye.
Thanks again. Take care.